Hey guys, Tommy Bryson here, and in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly what to do with your money the minute you get paid. If you get paid on Friday and by Tuesday, you don't know where the money went, if you feel like you're not really spending money on nonsense or garbage, but you still never have money, well, this video is for you. And in this video, I'm going to teach you a system that I developed, but it's going to be based on science, not just finance and money. I really learned that it's not just numbers, it's also feelings, and it's also science, apparently. So that's what we're going to be doing, a scientific approach to budgeting and to also manage your money the minute you get paid. And the very first thing I want you guys to do is figure out how much you get paid on an hourly basis. It's the most important thing. If you're telling me, Tommy, I get paid a salary, the answer is just divide your annual salary by the number 2,000. That's the biggest math you're going to do in this video, okay? It's very simple math. And that's going to give you a rough estimate of what your hourly wage actually is. So I make $40,000 a year, divide that by 2,000, and the number you get, I think it's 20 bucks, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be your hourly wage. That's the idea. And I want you to just write that down, because later in this video, that number is going to be very important. Now, step number one is going to be do nothing. I know that sounds strange because every video is about you have to do this, you have to do that. But if you don't believe me, then it won't make a difference. So that's why step number one is just going to be do nothing and just observe where the money is going for a week, for a month, however long you actually need to do this for. So the minute you get paid, what you want to do is you want to write down, all right, I just received $2,000 this week or $1,000 this week. And then every time you spend money, whether it's on rent or paying a bill or a coffee at McDonald's, or you just gave somebody $1 for charity, a homeless guy on the street, doesn't matter. Every single time you spend $1, you actually want to go ahead and you want to write that down. That is the idea, okay? Now, what exactly is this going to be good for? Well, it's going to show you exactly where the money is going, because everyone says, I don't know where my money is going. Well, this way, you're going to know exactly where your money is going. Now, by the way, I'm not in my normal studio, and my wife tells me that these glasses are distracting, so I'm going to take these off. You guys let me know in the comments down below if they really are distracting you, because I don't want the light and the reflection to distract you from what I'm saying here. But for the moment, I'd rather be blind than you guys not know or be distracted by what I'm saying or whatever, okay? So that's the first step, okay? Just to be able to observe, to know exactly where all the money is actually going. And once you do that, well, you're not gonna have an excuse. And I figured out when I did this the first time that I was spending a lot of money on Chipotle. I didn't think it was a big deal, but it was. A lot of my money was going to Chipotle. And for some people, they figure out that, hey, a lot of my money is going to subscriptions, or a lot of my money is going to small little bills that at the end of the month add up to a big bill. Now, number two is going to be ask questions about every single bill. So a lot of the times when we spend money, we don't really think about it, right? Because it's just like $1, no big deal, or $10, no big deal. It's just rent, okay? I gotta pay it. But now I want you to ask a question. Is this worth it? And what exactly is it, okay? You want to start to interrogate every single bill you actually have. Every time you spend money, you have that list now. Now you can kind of ask yourself, hey, is it actually worth it for me to spend money on eating out every single day? Or is it actually worth it for me to buy a new purse every Monday? Okay, probably not, okay? Probably exaggerating there. But here's where that figure I asked you to write down, which is basically what you make on an hourly basis, is going to change your whole life. What I want you to do is to divide a bill by your hourly wage. And that's going to tell you exactly how many hours it actually costs you to work to buy that thing. So for me, let's say I used to buy a lot of sneakers at the time, and I was making like $8 an hour, okay? So imagine me when I was spending $200 on a pair of sneakers and I was making $8 an hour. If I grab my phone right here and I try to do for you guys some simple math, so let's go over to my calculator. And while I'm doing this, I want you to do the exact same thing. So grab one of those bills and divide it by your hourly wage. So for me, it was about $200. And believe it or not, I would buy sneakers about like every 2 weeks or so. Like 2 to 3 sneakers every single month. For what? I don't know. I stopped at over 23 pairs of sneakers. It was stupid. Very stupid. But when you divide $200 divided by $8, which I was making, it was about 25 hours of my time I was spending on a pair of sneakers, okay? It's very dumb. It's not smart. So when you do this math, it kind of tells you, is this really worth it? Is it worth me working for 25 hours of my life and giving that up, never getting it back, just to wear some fancy sneakers and make somebody else rich? The answer is probably going to be no. But I want you to also go ahead and label all those bills and call it either a want or a need. Now, I want you to be very honest. And here's how I can guarantee you're going to be honest. Because whether it's a want or a need, I'm not going to ask you to stop paying for it. That's not what it's about. It's just about honesty and transparency. You can still spend your money the way you want to spend it. It's no big deal. You'll just stay the same way, which is a big deal, honestly, okay? But usually, the things that are needs are going to be shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportations. And even about those bills, I want you to ask questions. Is it worth it paying $2,000 or $3,000 a month to live in this house or to live in this apartment? And the answer might be no, it's not worth it, because that $3,000 a month, when I divide it by 20 bucks, is actually costing me a ton of hours. And almost all the hours I work go towards this apartment or this house. You might notice that. And it might make more sense to just downgrade and live somewhere else. But that's why you want to ask all of these questions. And then everything else, like for example, Netflix or going out to eat or this subscription, they're all wants. So you want to label them a want. And you also want to label them a cost. What is costing you on an hourly basis? This right here, it sounds very simple, but it will change your entire life. And something it did for me personally was that when my friends started to invite me out to eat, and I knew for sure I'm gonna spend at least like $40, and that's about $8 an hour. That's probably about like 4 or 6 hours of my time. It's just not worth it. Is there something we could do for free together and just enjoy ourselves? A lot of the times I would say no. And a lot of times I just stopped going to all of those events because I knew it was costing me my time and I was just not willing to spend it that way. If the point is spending time together, why do we have to spend money to do it? You know what I mean? So it changed my whole perspective. But that's the second thing you want to do. Just ask questions. So first step is observation. And you're doing nothing, just writing things down. Second thing is question. You're questioning just about everything to figure out exactly where the money's going, but is it really worth it as far as going to that exact thing? Now, the third step is try this out. This is based on research, a hypothesis I actually came up with, and also by experimenting. I'm pretty sure I said the second thing wrong there, hypothesis. It just can't come out of my mouth, but let me know how you actually say it, okay? But the entire idea is very simple. Here's what I do, what's worked for me, and what I want you to do is just to try it. Now, why didn't I say this at the very beginning of the video? Because knowing what I do, without knowing that I'm spending way too much money, and how do I know that? Because I saw it happening. I spent a lot of money on wants. How do you know that? Because you label things. And now I'm giving you guys an idea to try it out for yourself. But notice I'm saying, try this out for yourself. This is not written in stone. You can change this a little bit. You can add certain things to it. But understand, when you try to make changes to a plan that I give you, there are going to be cons or they're going to be pros. The main pro is if a change is going to allow you to succeed, it's a pro. The con might be that you changing it too much, it might not make it work. So you want to be very careful with that. And the plan is going to be to utilize my simple budget. Now, how exactly does this work? And the name says simple. It is simple to do, but it is hard to apply because it's going to involve you changing a lot of your habits and your money patterns, which it's hard, but it's not impossible. If I did it, You can do it. And number one is going to be you want to have four categories for your money. As far as, for example, well, not categories, more like goals for your money. The first goal is using your money to become debt free. The second goal is going to be using your money to build yourself a foundation, an emergency fund. The third goal is going to be using your money to invest for your future and also to pay off a mortgage. And the fourth goal is going to be using your money to maintain your efforts and to actually keep growing your wealth while being able to enjoy it a lot more. Now, as far as a budget, my budget is very simple. It can get a little complicated if you want to use envelopes and so on, but the runaround is basically you want to remove all the wants, every single want you actually have before you get mad at me and say, life is about a balance and I just can't remove everything that I actually want, then what's the point of working? Give me a second because I have a plan and I want to share with you. And the idea is remove all the wants and try to find out how you can actually save money on your needs, every single need you actually have. And then you want to subtract your income from your needs. That should give you a surplus. A surplus is extra money. If you have a deficit, meaning you have not enough money, a negative number, well, you have a problem. And if you're at a deficit, you need to figure out exactly what can you save money on, because there are things to save money on. Trust me. Sometimes moving down the block or 30 minutes away might mean saving $2,000 or $1,000 extra. Okay, so that's also a possibility. Now, once you do that, you want to select exactly what you're gonna do with the surplus. Here is what I recommend: automatically grab 5% of that surplus and use it to have fun. You see what I'm saying here? That was the whole point. Just use 5%. So if you have $1,000, 5% of $1,000 is about $50, if I'm not mistaken. You can grab that $50 and use that for fun, for wants. Now, I highly recommend don't use it for subscriptions or for dumb things. Use it for things that you actually enjoy. You know, whether it's I want to spend this money on having fun outside or treating myself out for a dinner or something like that. Those are things you can do. But again, fun is subjective. So it is up to you to decide what you want to spend that 5% of the surplus on. The 95% of the rest of the money, you want to use it to get serious, because becoming financially free or having some sense of freedom with your money, it is going to be a serious ordeal. So with that 95%, I want you to automatically first save at least $500 to $1,000. That's the first goal, okay? Just save $500 to $1,000. Why? Because that's going to be money you want to have in a separate account. And the main reason is because when something bad happens, you want to have money there to handle that problem. Notice I said when, because something bad is going to happen, usually, all right? And instead of relying on a credit card or the kindness of others, having your own money in the side for that, it makes a big difference, okay? It really does. I've had to use it a few times when my dad passed away and also for the birth of my daughter, and it makes a lot of sense to have some money on the side for that goal. But once you do that, you want to start paying off your debts, everything except the mortgage. I recommend you do this. How exactly? Well, use the snowball method. I have a full video on that, but the whole idea is you pay the smallest debt off and pay the minimum on all the rest. Okay. So if you have three bills, three debts, you owe 1,000, 500, 200, you use all the extra money. Well, use all the money to pay the minimum on all of them and use all the extra surplus left, all the extra money left to pay off that bill. That's $200. Okay. That way you're done with it first, then you move on to the next one and so on and so on. Now, the second goal is going to be, and by the way, this sounds easy because it is easy to do. It's just hard to put it into action because it does take you adjusting your budget. And adjusting your budget also means adjusting your lifestyle for the most part. Now, the second thing is going to be to build a fully blown emergency account. I read a comment not too long ago saying that, Tommy, why are you still talking about emergency account? Because they're important. A lot of people tend to want to rely on unemployment or the government in case something goes wrong. But I've learned that it's better to rely on yourself when it comes to your finances. And it makes a big difference because let's say you're at a job and you don't like it or they're treating you badly. Having your own money means, hey, I'm done. I quit. I'll figure this out. I have some money on the side. I can kind of explore my ideas. So, how much money should you try to save here? The answer is going to be 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. Notice this, okay? The less money you spend per month, the less money you're going to need saved. The more money you spend per month, the more money you're going to need an emergency account, okay? So, try your best to save as much money as possible because it is not a flex to waste your money. It is not a flex to spend until you're 66 years old working and working and working to pay bills because you don't know what's going to happen once you finally retire. Okay. Now, the third goal you want to do once you're done with that, and remember, you do want to, one, when it comes to debt, pay the money the minute you get paid, whether it's weekly or bi weekly, the minute you get paid, pay your debts. Two, when it comes to your emergency account, have a separate account for that and build that up and put that money in there and only use it for real emergencies, okay? Real emergencies. There's a difference. The third goal is going to be to pay off a home and to also invest for your retirement. If you have a job when it comes to investing for your retirement that gives you, for example, a 401k match, the answer is you want to max out all the free money they give you and all the extra money you have left over that you want to invest. You can put that in your personal Roth IRA. I recommend a Roth IRA. Now, what percentage of your money surplus should you be trying to invest? The answer is I recommend just 10%. Yeah, just not a lot, right? You probably want to do more, but just 10%. If you want to do more than that, maybe do 15, but I highly recommend just start off small because it's going to take a while for your investments to build up anyways. So there's other things you could do in the meantime. And then use all the extra money left over to save up for a down payment for a home. And the home you buy, make sure you get it on a 15-year mortgage where the payment per month is no more than 33% of your net income. And when I say payment, I mean all the bills involved in the home. That means, for example, the mortgage, the interest, the taxes, and the maintenance for the home. Everything involved with the home, obviously not electricity and so on, but everything else involved with the home, you want to make sure is no more than a third of your monthly income because that means you have a lot of wiggle room. Some people, they buy a home and it's like 50% of what they make per month. And if something goes wrong and they can't find a job so fast, well, they're going to be in trouble. And you want to avoid that. The cheaper the home, the faster you can pay it off and the faster you can own it. Do not be jealous of people that have a home and they don't own it. It's very big, very nice, but it's not theirs. And if things go badly, they will have to return it. Believe me. And once you're done paying off a home, the next step is going to be to use money to maintain what you've already done. That's when you start investing, for example, like 15 or 20%, and you just keep investing that continuously. But all the other surplus you're actually getting, you can use that as you like. And the overall goal is to get to a point where your investment pay you enough to cover all your bills. But because your biggest bill, which is your home, is taken care of, well, you can probably get there very quickly. Now, that is it as far as exactly what to do with your money when you get paid. So number one is going to be, again, just a brief summary here, is you want to absorb what your money spending habits are like. Number two is you want to label everything, want or need. And then number three is you want to start utilizing your surplus. If you don't have a surplus, you need to readjust your spending habits and you need to readjust where your money is going for the most part. I don't recommend like getting 3, 4 jobs, because you'll just be wasting a lot of your time. And that's why I asked you to calculate what your time is worth. Because if you spend all your time working, is that the best use of your time? No, because you have family and you have other things to take care of, okay? And let me know in the comments down below if you have a surplus or you have a deficit. Do you have money left over at the end of the month? Or do you not have money left over at the end of the month? And for all those people that spend all their money on food, go on Google, go on the internet, and figure out some home menus and how to save money. Like Dave Ramsey says, rice and beans, beans and rice, Monday to Sunday. That's also a way to save more money. Obviously, you want to get nutrition and so on, so that's why I say go online and find some good menus that can save you money while you do it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time. Peace.